Babz Rawls-Ivy from New Haven, Connecticut, and you're listening to WNHHL
from West
103.5 FM,
to the
streaming
hill.
live at newhavenindependent.org.
West Hills, New Hallville, from Goatville to Upper State, our neighborhoods make us great. New Haven, New Haven, many voices, one song. Fair Haven to the heights, Mixwell down to Twice, Audubon, Edgewood, Mill River, Bishop Woods.
Oh,
New Haven, New Haven.
Light in the sky, yeah. Where were you? Where have you been?
woo! Good morning and welcome back to LoveBabz, LoveTalk. It's the second hour, and usually on the second hour, I got somebody to talk to. And this morning, I'm talking to Devin Avshalom-Smith, who is running in my ward. I live in Ward 20 now, which is New Hallville, and he's running to be in Alder. And he's hella talented and tenacious. I mean, he must have walked this ward 1,000 times. Like, you must know everybody. You must know every house and every neighbor in the neighborhood.
Yes, good morning, Babz. Thanks for allowing me on this morning. And you're right. I've had a great time walking around a number of times, meeting so many of our neighbors. And it's just been a pleasure and an honor to be able to speak to residents and who's, allowed me to hear their concerns.
Yes. So now why do you want this job?
Well, so for me, this is much more than a race or a political campaign. I'm not running for myself. I'm running for us. This is a we thing. New Hallville is my home. It's been home to me and my family for over 65 years. So these roots are deep. And I know that I have a duty to my community to serve and ensure that the voices of all residents are heard in Ward 20.
So tell me your story. Where'd you go to school? I know you grew up in New Hallville. Where'd you go to school?
Yes, so I was shipped to Catholic school. I went to Catholic school down in Hartford. And my mom was really cognizant. She wanted me to kind of, I guess, be separated somewhat from some of the things going on. So I went to St. Cyril Methodius School in Hartford, and then I went to Northwest Catholic School for high school in West Hartford. And then I went on down to Washington, D.C., to the George Washington University for college. And I'm grateful. I have to thank my mother first and foremost and my grandparents for making the sacrifices to pay to send me to school so I could receive a premium education.
So what was it like at George Washington?
It was amazing, honestly, because I didn't have any experience with politics. I didn't understand really what the world in Washington, D.C. was like. But because my school was just 4 blocks from the White House, it was inevitable that I became politically engaged. And I was easily and readily available to become involved in advocating for the rights of folks there and around the country, including lobbying on Capitol Hill for pre-K education for all.
Wow. So when did you know? So, I mean, was college a place that fostered the sense of I want to be in the political arena?
Not really. I knew that I wanted to be in the political arena, but not necessarily as an elected official. I've always been an advocate, like a grassroots community organizer there and here in New Hallville. But really what struck me now was this moment we're at in New Hallville, having had one alder for 10 years and realizing, hey, I should step up. Because of the things I've learned, because of the skills I've acquired over time, I know that I would be able to serve this community, one, from my heart, listening to residents, but two, when it comes to those very important technical skills of understanding, like we talked about before, policy, legal language, things that we don't always as residents see and understand how they affect our daily lives, but they certainly do.
Yes. Yes. Policy is understanding policy is quite critical. Now, in your day job, you have a day job.
Yes.
You work for my good friend, my sister, Robin Porter.
Yes. Yes, indeed. So I'm the Labor and Public Employees Committee Clerk at the state capitol for the Connecticut General Assembly, and legislative aide to State Representative Robin Porter. And to me, this is an alignment of the stars almost. How often do we have someone from Newhallville, one, working in that capacity at the state capitol? Many folks up at the building, I believe, might have thought a little hesitation. Oh no, like someone coming from the district is going to work. Are they going to be able to meet the challenge? Not only did I meet it, but I surpassed it. And then if we're thinking in relation to Alder, you know, Rep Porter always says the people who are closest to the problems are often the closest to the solutions. I'm very close. I see what happens at the Capitol, and I've gained a wealth of knowledge around how we as community members, our voices have to be heard at the ground level when our lawmakers are making laws that will impact our daily lives. That I can commit to our neighborhood.
And she, you know, Robin she's certainly one for grassroots. I mean, she is about listening to the people and working for the people. So I can imagine some of that rubs off and becomes quite influential because you have that same sort of mindset. So when you decide to make this run, what were you considering? Like what went into your decision? Because you have a whole life, and you know you're working in politics at the state level. That is time consuming, right? Now you want add more to it with this run.
It is, and you know, well, one, I pride myself in being really good at time management.
Oh.
It is a busy job, but I'm grateful to have supports there. We have two assistant clerks. I have two assistant clerks as the labor committee, and as many interns as I can find, honestly, and that Rep Porter will, you know, approve of. And we're always looking for folks from within the district to intern. So I believe one of the skills of a good leader is also being able to delegate and manage multiple projects and multiple. So I don't see my job at all as being any type of barrier. I only see it really as being a benefit to the community because I have an eye on the way things are moving at the state level, which absolutely influences in many ways what happens on the city level, although there are, you know, obviously differences too. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I want to say, and also I just want to know, like, I'm open-minded, I'm positive, I'm able to take constructive criticism. I'm a team player and a team builder. And as Rep Porter always says, teamwork makes the dream work.
Oh my God, you sound just like her. So you're out here stomping these streets. What are you hearing from your neighbors? What are they saying?
I'm hearing a lot. And first, thank you to all of my neighbors who've been willing to speak with me. But some of the main concerns which make up my community first agenda are gun violence, for example.
Oh my God, this is huge.
Yes, and I want to acknowledge Shafiq Abdul-Sabar, who's running for Alder of Ward 28, for holding his press conference.
And that's my old ward. Like I was Alder in that ward.
Oh, wow. Excellent.
So
yes.
Yeah.
Very strong. And he asked that violence be declared an emergency, which it should. And I encourage everyone to look at his 10-point plan. Now, residents are talking about that. And so what I'd like to do is, one, focus on some proven models and adapt those to what our needs are here. For example, Oakland has a successful gun reduction strategy, including things like having direct and respectful communication with folks who are at high risk. Bolstering community support by connecting people to services and opportunities, and focusing enforcement on areas of need. These are real things, real plans, and Ward 20 deserves an Alder that is going to, one, listen to residents, and then two, find fact-based data to support those claims and create opportunity.
So, I mean, w- I feel like we're averaging a murder a day in this city. I feel like it's starting to feel very much like I felt in the 80s and early 90s, just a little bit out of control. I don't want to exaggerate that, but it is a little disconcerting. So how are you with working across ward lines? Because Newhaltville straddles affluent neighborhoods, right?
That
How are you going to get those neighborhoods to care about what happens in Newhaltville?
That's right. I'm glad you asked that question because I pride myself in maintaining and cultivating positive relationships. I have a great relationship with the alders of both of the wards that border Ward 2019 and 21. And I think that it would take working with them as well as their ward co-chairs and our ward co-chairs to open up dialogue. In order for people to care, they have to understand why they should care. And sometimes it does have to go beyond the fact that we're neighbors and we're all humans. I mean, there are real implications of violence spreading and bleeding out into different areas outside of Ward 20. So I would definitely move in a collaborative effort and plan with them.
Okay. And so talk about a little bit of economic growth in this community. Home ownership. I mean, I don't really know this ward that well. I've only been here 2 years. But I see a lot of homes being built. I don't see a ton of for sale signs in the neighborhood, but I see a lot of New Haven Housing Service houses. Habitat for Humanity has been in this neighborhood. The Yale architectural students, I see some of their handiwork in this neighborhood. Talk a little bit about, will we see more of that, less of that? Science Park is, I don't want to say encroaching, but they are certainly building. And then there's going to be more housing on the other side of the Shelton, Munson, Dixwell corridor. Talk a little bit about what that will do or what you think that might be for this community.
Well, yes. So, well, one, I want to say that Newhaltville historically had been one of the places with the highest levels of Black home ownership, and I'm proud to say that I am a part of that legacy. The house I sit in, my family's been in for over 60 years. People work hard to buy homes and maintain homes. I'm encouraged by some of the development that we're seeing. However, as Alder, what I would strongly advocate for, and even further than advocating for, planning and partner around, is making sure that these new developments are focused towards first-time homeowners. And also that in apartment units, we're getting affordable housing. The city threshold, I believe, is 5%. We really need to be pushed, ideally 50%, but definitely pushing towards the numbers of about 20% affordable housing. What we don't want to see is for people to be priced out of this neighborhood that has such a rich history of Black home ownership. And then I would say tangential to that, it would also be important for us to get residents informed and aware about programming to assist them to build and improve their credit. And then, like NHS New Haven Housing Services does, help get them into homes and get these low interest loans in order to purchase. That's
gentrification is a real thing. And there's a lot of fears and concerns about just that thing of being priced out of a neighborhood that has historically been a Black neighborhood, Black and brown neighborhood. How do you explain or talk about gentrification? Because on one hand, we want people to come into the community, buy property, fix up property. We don't want absentee landlords. We want people to care, and sometimes that can look like gentrification. And sometimes it doesn't. But how do you frame this, and how do you talk to neighbors about their fears around the changing of the neighborhood?
Yes. Well, I like to let neighbors know that Newhaltville in history past was a very diverse neighborhood. We had African Americans, strong Italian community. My grandparents told me there was also a strong German community. So the changing of skin tone shouldn't necessarily be the fear, but I hear what you're saying about the worry about people being priced out by new companies coming in. That's not exactly happening deep in New Hallville yet. What we do have is a lot of outside, like companies from New York buying up properties, being vacant landlords and slumlords, if I dare say it. What we're seeing is the beginnings of what could be gentrification as they purchase these homes, basically raise the property value and the prices, which could lead then to people being priced out. So what I say to residents about this is that we have to have an Alder who is going to prioritize the people who live here becoming owners. If you're a renter, we need to prioritize rent to own programs. And like I said before, helping people build their credit so that they're eligible. And even, what goes right along with that is community development. We need more Black-owned businesses and community resources. My family told me about the time when there were Black-owned businesses up and through here.
Yes.
And a number of zoning challenges that don't allow us to expand in the way that we'd like to. But I'd like to say quickly, one way that I'm actually working on that is as a part of the NHE3 Council, New Haven Equitable Entrepreneurship Ecosystem. It's a mouthful. But what we're doing is we're helping folks launch startup businesses, scale up existing businesses, implementing short-term infrastructure projects, and devising a long-term strategic plan. Ward 20, we deserve an Alder that is going to get deep in the weeds and, beyond promises, beyond campaign promises, show that, hey, we're going to find the money and the resources to get things done like this for our community.
So, so talk to me about what's going on with young people in this community. Do you have some thoughts about what could be done, what should be done?
Yes.
There's a lot of young people in this community, and oftentimes I get wind of some warring factions against neighborhoods. There's some territorial stuff going on.
Yes, and I think that there is a misconception often that the youth in our community are not involved or engaged politically, that they don't care. Some of the toughest questions I've received walking around to residents have come from our youth. The way that a lot of people are telling me they're feeling is that there's nothing here for them to do. There's no youth recreation opportunities, whereas we used to have, like roller skating rinks and other things for folks to do. Folks are feeling like there's no job opportunities. I've been victim of that. I've had to walk in previous years all the way to East Haven just to hold down a job. So I feel like the focus, one of the focuses has to be on bringing more youth recreation and educational opportunities into this ward. I think that we would see a reduction in some of the crime and violence. There would be a little bit less time for people to get sucked into some of these negative forces that are working on our youth.
And I think the economic piece is pretty critical. So the Q House is about to open. That's just up the road. I feel like the Dixwell New Hallville neighborhood is, one vast neighborhood. I know people like to sort of separate things out, but I just feel like it's one vast, beautiful neighborhood. Do you think that the Q House will make some inroads and some difference in opportunities and access for everyone?
I think that it will to a degree. I think that it's important to have that historic building like redone, reopened, and available for folks. I know my mom went to the Q House as a young person, so I don't want to poo-poo that. I think that's huge. However, when we think about our neighbors that live all the way out on Goodyear, Gem, Daisy, Reed Street, if you're on foot, the Q House is quite a walk. And look, Ward 20 is one of the most impoverished neighborhoods in the city. Bus fare may not seem like a lot to some, but hey, when it's between bus fare and are you going to be able to buy this other item for food or pay a bill, that's a serious thing. So I think that the Q House will help, but I do believe that right here in New Hallville, we do need to establish some sort of hub of opportunity, so that maybe we can have some after school programming. I actually had a senior say she would love to be able to be a part of some sort of after school mentorship type of programming and read to our youth. I've had young men and women say who have had, rose out of some of the negative aspects of the street life, say that they'd love to lend themselves as mentors to the youth as well. So I do appreciate the kiosk. I think it will be a tremendous asset. However, we can't forget about the needs right here in the trenches in one of those most impoverished wards in the city.
I think you're right. As I sit here, I'm trying to think, like, the only thing I think about is the Lincoln Bassett School. And I don't know if that's open after hours or for after school activities, but I can't think of another sort of space where young people could go to get access to, like if I'm in the Hill, I got the Boys and Girls Club. There's some other things going on, right? If I'm in Westville, there's the library that does a lot of activities. So, but I'm not sure what happens in New Hallville, for young people. I mean, I don't have any young people. My children are older, out of that age bracket where, I have to fill their time with activities. So I don't have to fill their time at all. But I wonder about that. Would you like to see something like that?
I would. I definitely would. And more than what I'd like, I've heard from residents that they would like that. And I've heard folks say that they'd like the state building to be utilized in some ways towards that, for youth recreation, but also for social services and perhaps even some sort of job hub like I spoke about before. I mean, our community deserves an Alder who's capable of engaging residents in the planning about what we want the state building to be used for. They also deserve an Alder who's able to work well with individuals and who'll be able to help us formulate a real proposal for, a project we can actually pay for. And I want to warn folks too, be wary of campaign promises saying that anyone will absolutely take that building and make it one thing or another without providing details about how we can get there. This is too serious of a situation to blindly promise residents things, knowing that this project will require cooperation from various offices and agencies throughout the city. And I feel like I'm the most capable person to broker something like that for us.
So tell me a little bit about you. What do you do for fun?
I love to go deep sea fishing. Are
you kidding me?
I'm not kidding. Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to, on some of our literature, I wanted to put a picture of me holding some sea bass up, but my team says that it's not necessarily relevant. So that's something fun I enjoy doing. I do a lot of reading. I listen to music. I actually write songs as well.
Are you a musician?
I used to play the trumpet. Now I mainly just write songs and sing them poorly. But yeah, I'm a regular everyday guy. I enjoy, spending time with my family. My aunt Sandra, who's a great supporter of mine. We before the pandemic had a weekly movie night where we sit and watch movies together and drink sparkling cider. I don't live that exciting of a life, but I'm very family centered and I enjoy like hiking, things like that.
Mm-hmm. So, what's the last book you read, or what are you reading now?
Let's see. Last book I read was, now I have to think on that.
I know. When I get this question, I'm always stumped. But
yeah.
But I'm always interested in what people read and what they like and that kind of thing.
Yes. I think the last thing I was reading was some of a philosopher named Gottfried Leibniz. He has a philosophy about, essentially, I'll just try to sum it up real quick. He said that there are things called monads, which we would say are similar to the atom, the atom in our bodies, and that make up the world. But he said that all of these things are sentient. They have thinking capabilities and somewhat like minds. So I'm really deep into philosophy. So I read a lot of heady stuff like that because it helps me see the world outside of what is just in front of us. And again, that's what another thing that I offer to our community, someone who's able to look at what we have, assess it in reality, and then go ahead, create a vision and think beyond that in order to create something new for us.
So what I'm always interested in what young people see, because you're well educated. What brings you back to New Haven? Because you could live anywhere. You could live in a much more cosmopolitan city, which for my money, I don't know what that is. I think New Haven is a great city, but as a young person, I don't know if the dating scene is strong enough for y'all, if the nightlife is strong enough, if there's enough activity to, that young people feel like, I can work here, I can play here, I can build here.
What brought me back to New Haven was a strong sense of commitment to my community. You're right, Babz. I could have stayed in Washington, D.C. and become a lobbyist or whatever I wanted to be, and be in a fast-paced environment where upward mobility, if you're determined, it's right there. Where the nightlife, like you said, and things like that are right there. But I came back because so often we see folks become, get a good education, get a bunch of life skills, and not come back to their community. That is the reason I came back. I said, wow, I've been blessed. I've been able to gain a lot of skills. I want to come back and lend those skills to my community because I know that we need something to push us forward. And then, I'm extremely grateful in that way because I don't talk a lot about the things that I've done and that I do in the community. But in 2020, the New Haven NAACP chapter honored my organization, NCAN, New Hallville Community Action Network, with a Hidden Heroes Award. And, thank you. And I say, I'm okay with being a hidden hero. I'm a humble servant. And the reason I came back is to be able to serve.
So you think there's enough here to keep you grounded, to maybe grow a family, maybe grow your friend network? I mean, do you feel like there's enough for young people? Because there's a whole world out there and might want to see a little bit more of it.
I feel like there is. I feel like it's a lot of us finding one another and working on things together, and also, like you said, building social relationships with one another. It's here. I mean, I love New Haven. I think New Haven is live. I think it's alive.
I do too, but I'm considerably older than you. And I like it for a lot of reasons. I mean, I find the social life here wonderful, but I'm not a young person anymore. So I don't know, what that would feel like for you.
I think it is. And then I do have to give the caveat that I live somewhat like a 7-year-old. So I don't really party or anything like that. But, when it comes to socializing, I've been able to meet a lot of great young people. And what it's actually led to is more community work, finding people who are doing it or reeling people in who show some interest. I actually started an organization called the YBCLC, Young Black Community Leaders Coalition, because I was searching for young people who wanted to get involved. And, I think we hear often with my generation, millennials, what are you guys going to do to step up? And here I am. Here we are asking for the opportunity. I'm asking for folks in Ward 20 to vote for me so that you can see it in action. A young person, 32 years old, who will, as you said, Babz, is willing to work, dogged determination.
Listen, I felt like you ought to have been bringing me my mail as much as I saw you, as much as you come by my house and I wasn't here. And I was like, oh, I got another flyer. I got another thing. So I mean, it's impressive, your tenacity and your engagement. I mean, quite personable.
Thank you. And it's really funny that you mentioned the mail, because I was canvassing on Butler Street and I was talking to a resident, a mail lady came up and said, you better vote for this young man. I seen him at 9 o'clock this morning and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon now. He's doing mail rounds. But it means that much to me. And it's not that I'm just coming out now. You know, during the pandemic, I was also walking throughout the ward and actually all of New Hallville, handing out flyers, letting people know about the food distributions. We were risking my life in the pandemic, and you know, not being around my family because I was around hundreds of people every day serving them. So I just hope that people will, you know, kind of return some of that love and faith in me that I put in the community by casting their ballot for me on September 14th.
So before I let you go, what is the bigger dream? Like, what do you want to see happen in this community, in this neighborhood?
Yes, I want to see us return to the glory days that we were in when we had Black-owned businesses, we had strong home ownership here, we had more community development, and voices of all residents were being heard. And what I want to say to people in regards to my vision is, if you're ready for New Hallville to make real progress, join me and my vision. My vision comes directly from residents of every street in the ward. It includes taking real and measurable steps towards public safety, new business opportunities, and the input of every resident being taken with equal consideration. So I'll keep you informed, and I expect you to hold me accountable, because together we can raise the quality of life in New Hallville for every resident. And I mean that. I stand by that.
Oh, it is such a joy to talk to you. I love talking to young people with this kind of passion. I was sort of that young person in my day with that kind of passion. So I understand it. And I get, when you look out, you see a world of what could be, and at the same time seeing what the world is. So Devin, it has been a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you back in these streets. I wish you very much luck and success. I got my absentee ballot. I'm gonna fill it out and drop it in the mail, because I won't be able to get to the polls on the 14th. But I got my absentee ballot and I'm ready to go. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Babz, and have an enjoyable day. And I'm sure I'll see you again soon.
And how do people contact you if they want to find you, if they want to see you? What do you have, a website or a Facebook or a phone number, something?
Yes, please visit our Facebook page, which is Devin Avshalom-Smith for Ward 20. And then feel free to call me at 860-778-0051. That's my personal cell, and I guarantee you I'll get back to you within 48 hours. I promise.
Oh, wait, somebody has a question. Somebody has a question.
Okay.
And I normally don't take questions, but Harry, Ella Gabriella wants to know, in the chat, what are your thoughts on the Goldman Sachs taking over public property for the benefit of the wealthy and still getting tax grants via the FAA that the city still has to sign off on?
I think that the interest, especially the interest of the Alder, should be the people first. So in regards to that, I mean, we'd have to take a serious look at why they're able to get these tax cuts, these tax credits, and examine what we can do to balance things out so that community members benefit just as much as these big companies. That's important to me.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ella Gabriella, for the question. I appreciate it. And Senator Winfield is listening. He finds the conversation quite refreshing. And a couple of other people have texted me that they've enjoyed this. So I'm so glad that you had opportunity to come on and that I got a chance to talk to you. And that I hope this community sees what I see in you, real commitment. You are what the ancestors dreamed of. So I'm wishing you and praying for you. And I'm hella biased, so. So thank you, Devin. And I'll see you out here in these streets in a few hours.
That's right. Thank you, Babz. I'll be out there.
I know. All right. Thank you. Harry, play us out. We're about to bounce up out of here. Thank you, Devin. Take good care.
Take care.
That was a good conversation, Harry. I love that kind of energy. You know what? When I see young people like him, I feel like I can turn the world over. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, it's determination, and it's it's good to see in the young people these days. Love it.
It is. I mean, and you know what? It is. And when I see young people like him doing this work, I just feel like I could turn the world over. Like I could get out of the storm and feel all right. You know what I mean? So anyway, we're back tomorrow. Tomorrow's my last day for Tina 2 surgery. And I'll be gone for a couple of weeks, and then it'll be a couple of weeks of the best stuff. But I think Paul is gonna take over some shows.
Yeah, Paul takes over the 10 o'clock hour.
Okay. So Paul will be here doing his thing on the 10 o'clock hour on my behalf. Thank you. And Shona Tova. Happy Rosh Hashanah.
See you tomorrow.
Till the morning.